Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale as usual lately. Today we're here joined by Pompeyo. I promised you this video yesterday. It's coming today. Thanks for hanging with me. Just wanted to make sure I kind of gave credit to the accomplishment of Samuel yesterday, finishing first and second on ladder for the first time ever. So if you guys didn't see the Pompeyo versus that one guy, Pro v Pro, it was probably the best Pro v Pro we've ever had, certainly the closest one, and Pompeyo used a really cool balloon cycle deck with Magic Archer. That's not his favorite ladder deck, but rather for tournament level standard. If you guys want to check that one out, you sure can in that video, but this is the deck that he uses with Inferno Dragon instead of the Magic Archer for ladder, and it's great because the Inferno Dragon obviously does a good job combating the difficult matchups, the Golem matchups, the Giant matchups. We're going to be watching three of the most difficult matchups today. We're going to be watching Three Musketeers for this deck. You know, really tough to navigate past Three Musketeers when you're playing a balloon cycle deck. Also, we're going to cover a big, heavy beatdown Golem double Prince deck with the NATO, I believe, and we'll be definitely covering bait with the Valkyrie, Tornado, and Rocket. Like, how are you going to get by a Tornado and a Rocket? Well, Pompeyo somehow makes it happen. So what we're going to try to do, as we always try to do here in CWA, is try to pay attention to like kind of the habits and pick apart the little decision making that Pompeyo makes throughout these matches that makes him such a great player. Hopefully you guys can apply it to your game and have success with it. So here we go, guys. Pompeyo on the top, we have Olds on the bottom. Shout out to Olds, his pusher, a great Three Musketeer player. Thinking about trying to get him on later on in the season, so that should be something to look forward to. Either way, you can see Pompeyo is definitely going to make sure he saves the miner here for the pump every time. That time he laid down a predictive fireball with the miner. Great play. It's something that you don't want to do every time with this deck. If you're going against a Three Musketeer player or even against a Golem player, you're definitely not going to send in the miner fireball every time, but it's really good to do early on. That way it kind of does two things, right? Number one is it takes out the pump and whatever supporting, you know, protection unit they play to try to protect it. It makes them a little bit leery to use their Goblin Gang or anything that can be destroyed by fireball later on in the match. So you can kind of get them a little bit uncomfortable, which is great, right? So here we go. We have a giant split in the center. This time we have a miner and fireball going down on the left. And the beautiful thing about this deck that we haven't discussed yet that Pompeyo is playing is it has a certain element of a zap bait to it, obviously. Well, a big element, right? It has bats, has spear goblins, and it also has the Inferno Dragon. So matchups where you know you're going to be needing to lean on the Inferno Dragon a lot, it's a good idea to cycle bats and spear goblins in the same lane as much as possible. What that will do is bait out the opponent's zap, and it will give you free reign to play your Inferno Dragon on the defensive end. Really smart to do that, so as soon as they drop their tank, you want to try to go opposite lane if you can. Try to pressure with, even if it's just a minor bats and not the balloon as well, try to get that zap out of their hand. That way you can have an easier time defending on the other side. So you can see that pretty much Olds is going to actually take down this right tower here. Once you have one tower down with this deck and you have one Princess Tower left, it's really easy to attack. Even against Three Musketeers, you want to wait till if they have enough elixir for three Musketeers, you want to have your fireball ready, right? You can see it happen right there, and the balloon is going to get to the tower. And notice how he didn't use zap there. Just a really good job by Pompeyo being aware of, he didn't need the zap because Two Musketeers were already splitting to the right. Then he's able to use the zap on the minion horde instead there, and then use the Ice Golem on the defensive end to kill that horde. Now, if he had zapped the Musketeers dead, like fireball zap 1-2 combo, the balloon wouldn't have gotten any more damage, and he would have lost the match on that counterattack with that minion horde. He would have only had the Ice Golem to defend and no zap in hand. So just those little tiny decisions that Pompeyo makes is something that hopefully you guys can kind of take note of. You don't always need to use fireball zap against Three Musketeers, even though you have it in your arsenal. You might be better saving that zap for the next defensive sequence. So here we go, guys. The next match is going to be indeed the Golem Double Prince deck. By the way, getting a lot of requests for Golem decks. I have two really good ones, new meta Golem decks not using Elixir Pump. We've kind of seen a shift in the meta now. Why do you need Elixir Pump when you can run Rocket? It has more versatility and it trades 6 for 6 even on the pump. So we're seeing a lot of Golem Rocket now. 2 of those decks coming tomorrow. Anyway, this is the older school Golem deck, which is one of my faves, really, being played by somebody from North Rebellion at the top. And you can see that one thing right out the gate here, guys. If you want to rewind, I might have just kind of talked over it, but in the beginning, no matter what the matchup is, we just so happen to go against 2 decks here in the first 2 replays that have pumps, but you want to be ready, right? And one thing that I noticed Pompeyo does as his first play, sometimes even before the opponent makes a play, he'll cycle his first Ice Golem in front of the King Tower, not in back. That way, if he needs to pressure, like if he plays an Ice Golem and the opponent pumps at the same time, for example, he'll go ahead and he'll attack, and he'll be ready to attack with that Ice Golem in perfect position. Now look at this defense, guys. This is crazy defense here, and you want to really try to emulate this yourselves. So a big Golem push, coming down the right lane. All Pompeyo did to defend was play that Inferno Dragon right on the Golem near the Princess Tower. He used the Dark Prince to kind of kite the supporting troops away, and then he played Spear Goblins on the other side of the Dark Prince, and then he was ready to drop his Ice Golem once the Dark Prince looked like he was dying. And that bought enough time for the Inferno Dragon to bleed through that Golem and do some work. So here the Prince is going to get 1 stab. There is boom on that right tower, and things are still looking pretty good here, right? I mean, granted, the opponent does have the elixir, or the big advantage, in this matchup, as we go into double elixir time. So we want to make sure we can get as much damage as possible right now. Now here we go. We bait out the zap of the opponent there, which is great, and we take that tower down to below 2,000 HP, 1723. Unfortunately, for Pompeyo, the opponent actually does a good job anticipating that miner and protects the pump. So this is going to be a crucial push. Let's see how Pompeyo defends against this Golem coming in the right lane. Well, the first thing you're going to see him do here, is take full advantage of the balloon death damage. He's going to take about 50% HP off of that mega minion and about 1/3 HP off the baby dragon. That sets him up to use a fireball in just a moment here, and he just used the fireball, and what he's trying to do right now is cycle back to another fireball. So basically just perfect placement on all these troops, using the Ice Golem again to buy more time for him to kill the Golem. Now that the Golem is dead, he can cycle back to another fireball, and look at that, all that and still 400 HP left on his right tower. He's going to sneak in some Spirit Goblins here on the left to take that tower down. However, it would have fallen to a fireball either way, so really good match there, and it's just a beautiful example of how to defend against a tricky Golem matchup. I mean, those decks can be really lethal, especially in double elixir time, especially when you're running a faster cycle deck such as Pompeyo. So anyway, let's go into this matchup here. What about this? Like, how in the hell is Pompeyo going to beat this guy? He has NATO and Rocket. I mean, for those of you who don't play Balloon a lot, if you're going against NATO, it's difficult. If you're going against NATO and Rocket, it's almost impossible. But Pompeyo's somehow, some way, going to make it happen here. So you'll notice again in this matchup, starting play was the Ice Golem in front of the King Tower, just being ready to attack if he needs to. If not, you can let the Ice Golem go to waste, and you'll still won't be too far down, right? So the opponent here strikes first, getting over 1,000 damage on Pompeyo's right tower. Pompeyo's going to be using the Inferno Dragon. Obviously, there's no big tank to kill. There's the Valkyrie, but we're not going to call her a big tank, right? So with this matchup, what we're going to do is kind of cycle the Inferno Dragon, keep him on the board. We don't want to take him out of the game, so to speak. So we're going to keep him around. We'll use him against princesses at the bridge. We'll cycle him in the back, because the Inferno Dragon always has to be answered. It's always a threat, and it gives the opponent something to use the Tornado against, or just causes them to have to play reactively a lot. So Inferno Dragon for 4 elixir is still a pretty good cycle card. Now, if you guys don't have Inferno Dragon, you can sub in actually the Inferno Tower. It's 1 more elixir, and it's not mobile, so it doesn't have to be answered, but of course it's a little bit more robust on defense. So here we go, guys. Here comes another Goblin Barrel for the opponent. Again, getting a little bit of chip damage here and there. Pompeyo can't feel super about this start, but he's about to go in with his very first balloon push. Now here it is. You can see the opponent already has the Rocket selected. They are ready, but he goes in with the miner as well. Now here's where the Tornado comes into play, and this is how you can tell how frustrating this matchup is. The opponent didn't even need that Ice Spirit there. The balloon damage was, you know, away from that tower, not within the radius to do the death damage to the tower. However, the Miner did get a decent amount of chip damage. So now that Pompeyo knows that he has, well, he obviously knew he had Rocket, you know, let's face it, it's a bait matchup. So how the heck are we going to break through here? Well, again, guys, it all comes down to what we just talked about. The Inferno Dragon's going to be cycling from the top. Now we're going to throw, like, everything at him here. It's an Ice Golem. It's an Inferno Dragon. It's the bats coming from behind there. A Miner goes in the opposite lane with the Spirit Goblin behind it, basically putting pressure to both lanes here. We get the Rocket out of the opponent there. This time, the balloon actually damages in radius of that right tower. So both of the towers are around 2,000 HP. Now, the beautiful thing about this deck, the answer to the question that we posed at the beginning of this matchup is, how is Pompeyo going to win this matchup? How can he do it? And the answer is outcycling. We have a faster deck than the opponent. So if you're really smart, like Pompeyo was just there taking down that right tower, you can cycle to a balloon really, really quickly, and you can outcycle your opponent by the time they get to their counters. So of course, that time, for example, the opponent was able to get back to one of their counters, Tornado, but not to Rocket, and we got the right tower down. So guys, I hope you enjoyed these tips and you can apply it again to your own gameplay. I want to thank you so much in advance for 500,000 subscribers. Right now we are at, let's see, 499, 894 at the time of this live recording here. So maybe by the time I upload, I might be at 500K. So thank you guys so much. Oh man, this is like so cheesy. Look, Mom, I did it. So, guys, thank you so much for the support, and a huge shout out to my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. Check out his information in the description below. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.